Episode Revenant brought us around 50 new weapons, but most of those are kinda mid. So I'm gonna go over the 7 must-have PvE weapons from Revenant, so you know what to look for and what to turn into Glimmer. I'm Marshix, and I make videos on a dying game. If you enjoy, all I ever ask for is just a like down below. Also, this is my list, so your opinion doesn't matter, but feel free to share in the comments if that makes you feel better. First up is Vantage Point. This is an arc pulse rifle that gets a bunch of great perks, but the main one to look for is jolting feedback. This will apply jolt to enemies just by dealing sustained damage. So just shoot the gun, and occasionally this will create chain lightning, making this great for killing small enemies and adding a little bit more damage to larger enemies. And because jolt will stun overload champions, this can stun 2 champion types. Unstoppable thanks to the artifact, and overload because of jolting feedback. And in the future when we get anti-barrier pulse rifle again, this will stun barriers and overloads, which I think will be way better. It also has an origin trait, which works perfectly with jolting feedback. Kills with any dark ether weapon will spawn these floating orbs. Shooting them or walking into them will make them explode and overfill your weapon's magazine. So this 48 round pulse rifle goes up to 87 rounds, and that larger magazine makes it great for dealing sustained damage to trigger jolting feedback. Now, there are a few things you can pair with this in the other column to make it even better. Eddy Current, which will give you faster reload speed while you're amplified or sprinting, or what I actually prefer is Deconstruct. I recently found out what this perk actually does, and I really like it. This allows it to partially reload itself with sustained damage, basically giving it a massive magazine size, which obviously has some synergy with jolting feedback. Between this and the origin trait, you basically never have to reload. And in addition to that, it will deal more damage to vehicles and constructs, which is nice to have in certain activities like the GM Arms Dealer, which has threshers, turrets, a tank, and more turrets. Overall, I think this is the best arc pulse rifle in the game. Not that it really had competition though. Up next is one of the best weapons for DPS, if not the best. Chill Inhibitor is the heavy grenade launcher from the Vesper's Host dungeon, and it gets a crazy perk combination. First is Bait and Switch, to deal 30% more damage just by dealing damage with your other 2 weapons first. This is really easy to activate, and it gives a significant increase, which is why this has been the go-to damage perk for most other weapons. Now, what makes this special is that it also gets Envious Arsenal, a new perk that's a combination of Envious Assassin and Sympathetic Arsenal. This will automatically reload your weapon whenever you deal damage with your other 2 weapons, just like Bait and Switch. So each time you reactivate Bait and Switch, your weapon will automatically reload, giving us a really clean rotation where we just swap between all our weapons to dump all our ammo really fast. And yes, this perk combination is on a few weapons like Bittersweet and Wicked Sister, but this is the only rapid fire grenade launcher with these perks. And those technically do more damage, so this is the best of the bunch. Now, the way you get this weapon is really simple. Right now, the gunsmith is giving us this exact god roll. You just have to go talk to him and pick it up. But this is only here for a limited time, maybe just a few weeks, so go pick it up as soon as possible. Once it's gone, you can only get it from the Vesper's Host dungeon, which means you actually have to play the game. Who wants to do that? Up next is my favorite exotic from the season, Alethanim. This is Mountaintop, but it takes primary ammo. This will ignore gravity, you can rocket jump with it, and it can even create ammo out of thin air. Kills with this weapon will spawn these vestiges. Picking up vestiges will fill up this bar in the bottom left, and once it's full, you can either create special or heavy ammo for you and your team. Hitting a boss with this will make them take damage over time and spawn a ton of vestiges too. And hitting an immune boss with this will allow you to do some crazy things in raids and dungeons. This makes it a great support weapon, on top of already being good for mobility and ad clear. So while it does take a little bit of time to get used to it, this is definitely one of the best exotics in the game. This comes from the season pass at rank 1 if you pay for the season, or rank 40 if you're free to play. Then at rank 145, you'll get its Catalyst, which will give it One for All, to increase its damage most of the time since it is a grenade launcher with infinite ammo. This next weapon is the first glaive that I've ever fallen in love with. Rake Angle is the Nightfall glaive that goes in the top slot. This is the only glaive that can go here, which makes it really strong since you can pair it with things like Sunshot, Graviton Lance, Trinity Ghoul, the list goes on. But that's not the only reason why it's good, because it also gets the best perk combination of all the glaives. First of all, it gets Chill Clip to slow and freeze enemies with the top half of the magazine. This will slow them with 1 hit and freeze them with 2 hits. And since slow stuns overload champions and freeze stuns unstoppable champions, this can deal with 2 champion types very easily, regardless of the artifact. It also gets Overflow to overfill the magazine up to double capacity each time you pick up an ammo brick. So in most content, you will never have to reload this thing, and it makes chill clip even better because every shot above the base magazine size will count as having chill clip. So while this can hold 14 shots, 12 of those have chill clip, allowing you to freeze things like crazy. And because this is a Vanguard weapon, it gets the Vanguard's Vindication origin trait, healing us with kills from the ranged attack. Between this and the ability to block, this is one of the best weapons for survivability, even in high level activities where things hit really hard. Another amazing weapon with chill clip is the brand new Tenacious Mastery. This is the Iron Banner rocket sidearm, and it's the first and only sidearm with chill clip. This will slow enemies with the top half of the magazine, and after 3 shots, they will become frozen. And because this has so much ammo, you can basically use this as a primary weapon to control the battlefield. And this is especially useful in Stasis Warlock builds with Ice Flare bolts to double down on freeze effects, or Hunter builds with Stylish Executioner to turn invisible with every slow kill, which is basically every kill with this, or in Titan builds with Tectonic Harvest to constantly build up stacks of frost armor for a nearly permanent damage resistance. Now, chill clip is the obvious must-have perk, but there are a few other perks that you can pair with it to make it even stronger. My favorite is Deconstruct, to partially reload it with sustained damage. This will make it so you can shoot between 20 to 30 shots before having to reload, depending on your magazine size. And most of those shots will have chill clip. This is great for just a passive perk, don't do anything, and your magazine is way bigger. But if you don't have that roll, or you just really hate Deconstruct, you can go with Loose Change to increase your reload speed each time you apply slow to an enemy, which is every shot, or Air Trigger to increase your ammo reserves and provide you with a reload buff when you're in the air. So it's easy to activate and allows you to hold a little bit more ammo. It's also worth mentioning that Tactical Mag and High Explosive Ordnance will also increase your ammo reserves. It's only by like 5 shots, but this will stack with Air Trigger, allowing you to hold up to 52 shots, which is a big step up from the usual 41. So which roll should you go with? Well, it mostly comes down to what you value most on a sidearm, and also what you can actually get, because Iron Banner is not available most of the time. And when it is, it's filled with only pulse rifles. Let's make a deal. You like the video, and I'll touch grass. This episode introduced a brand new perk called Rhyme Stealer. This is an incredibly powerful perk that will give you frost armor each time you shoot a stasis crystal. An enhanced Rhyme Stealer will give you 2 stacks of frost armor. If you aren't aware, frost armor is a stackable damage resistance, making you take 22% less damage at 5 stacks, or if you have Whisper of Rhyme, it will make you take 36% less damage at 8 stacks. Now, why am I bringing this up? Well, Exuviate is a hand cannon that gets this perk, and it can also get Headstone to create stasis crystals. Every precision kill will make a crystal. Then you can shoot it to give you frost armor, making it really easy to keep full stacks of frost armor at all times, and it's surprisingly good for ad clear too. On top of that, it's a seasonal weapon, so it gets the Dark Ether Reaper origin trait to spawn these balls that can take your magazine up to 20 shots, which is way more than you need on a hand cannon. It's also really easy to get since you're given this exact god roll guaranteed at level 119 in the paid season pass, once again proving that the wallet is mightier than the sword. If there's only one weapon you farm for this season, it better be Velocity Baton. This is the best grenade launcher in the game. This is an area denial grenade launcher, so it will shoot out goo that deals damage to anything inside. Basically a legendary Wither Horde, but it's actually better than Wither Horde because it gets attrition orbs. This will create orbs of power with sustained damage. Because you get so many ticks of damage with each shot, this will activate 2 times per shot, meaning you can spawn 2 orbs of power with every shot, and that starts to add up fast. Between this and Siphon mods, you can generate hundreds of orbs per activity, and if you have a full fire team running this, there will be orbs all over the place. This can feed into your super, your armor mods like Recuperation and Better Already, and all the armor charge mods like Weapon Surges. It's so good. But it gets better because since it does do so many ticks of damage, it can also build up your Transcendence very fast. If you hit enough enemies with this and deal enough ticks of damage, you can fill up the bar in like 2 shots. And to add to that, it gets Demolitionist to give you faster grenades, and reload it whenever you throw a grenade. And this will stack with the Origin trait to give you ability energy just by dealing damage with it. So it will spawn tons of orbs of power, give you fast Transcendence, give you faster abilities, and it has a way to bypass reloading. This has it all. This will drop from the Vespers Host dungeon, and if you've done the puzzles that allow you to focus gear, you can input the code 1421 to get it guaranteed from the chest. Now that you have these awesome weapons, you're going to need a good build to pair them with. So check out this video for 5 builds that can give you back-to-back supers in only a few seconds. Thanks for watching, I'm Marshix, and I'll see you next time.